Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Choma of Choma Stitches, and today we are going to be making a child's ball dress. And yes, the dress is going to look really full because of everything we're going to be adding to it. Okay, we have this is a chantilly lace that we're going to be using as a top layer. Okay, it's going to be followed by this beautiful tulle. Okay, this is going to be the second layer, and then we have this to be the third layer, and then this is going to be the final lining piece. Okay, and then I'm thinking I'll add this one as well. After adding all of this, if it's not as full as I want, I might be adding this other hard tool to the lining to make it even thicker so that it will be fuller. And then this is a Duchess fabric that I'm going to be using for the top part of the dress. Okay, and they're all supposed to come out as off-white, but I don't know. So let's go straight into drafting. This gown is going to be 47 inches. Although it's a child's dress, but she is on the big side, and so the dress is going to look kind of like an adult dress at the end of the day, to look a bit bigger than it's supposed to be. So the full length of the gown is going to be 47 inches, but the half length is 15 inches. So I'm going to mark out 15 inches for the half length. The largest part of her upper bodies is 39 inches, and so divided by 4 is 9.75 inches. So I'm just going to be using 10 inches. Let's use 10 inches to demarcate this line. And so I'm demarcating it to separate the front and the back half length, and then I'm marking out 1 inch for zip. Her shoulder measurement is 8 inches, and for the back part I am marking it away from the zip allowance. I'm going to use 1 inch for the shoulder slanting and 1.5 inch for the shoulder slanting for the front. And then for the neckline, I'm going to divide in the upper bodies, the larger part of the upper body, that's the bust area, by 12, and I have 3.3, so 3.25, so I'm going to mark 3.3. And for the back, I'll come down by just 1 inch, and then I'll connect it to the 1 inch shoulder slanting. For the front, I'll use the same 3 by 3, and I'll come down by 5 inches, or 4.5 inches. And I'll use my curved ruler, the curved part, to curve this. Then I'll connect this to my 1.5 inch shoulder slanting. And then to get the armhole, I am going to divide the bigger part of her body by 6. That's the bust divided by 6, and I have 6.5. And I'll add 1.5 to each. So 39 divided by 6 is 6.5 inches, plus 1.5 will now be 8 inches. So I'm going to mark the same 8 inches here, but I'll be marking 9 inches since I'm marking it from the top, since this one already has a 1.5 inch shoulder slanting. So I'm going to connect these two lines so I can connect it. So to curve the armhole, I'm going to go divide this pattern by 2, and what I have is 4 inches for the back, and I'll slant it to the shoulder. And then I'm going to use the curved part to connect it to the, okay. And then for the front, I'm going to go up by 3.5 inches, and I'll come in by 1/2 inch as well. And roll it down here and curve this. Okay, so now I'm going to impute her measurement. From the shoulder to her bust is 11 inches. Her bust divided by 4 is 9.75. So I'm going to mark 9.75. And her waist is 35 inches. Divided by 4 is 8.75. And I'm going to add 1 inch for that. So I'm going to mark 9.75 again. So for the dart, I'm going to be using 4 inches for the dart point. And I'm going to take the dart and stop at 1 inch away from the bust. So I have half an inch on both sides to get 1 inch. And I'll do the same thing for the front. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern. So I decided not to use this Duchess fabric because it's the off-white is too much, it's too out of it. So I'm using a lighter shade of the off-white for the doll face to do the upper bodice. Okay, so I'm going to cut out the pattern now. And so I'm going to cut out the lining piece exactly like this as well. I've cut out the lining piece as well. I've cut out the lining piece and added the sewing allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and iron stay on the main fabric and then sew the neckline and take out the darts. So I've already cut out all the layers. I've cut out the full length I want. So I changed my mind from making it a 3/4 to making it a full length. So it's going to be about 60 inches long. The little girl is quite tall and she's on a big side. Okay, so this is the layers of the fabrics I need, the layers of the tulle, the lining, the lace piece, and the doll face. So I've cut out all the layers, and so I'm going to go ahead and put the stay now and then sew the neckline and take out the darts. I've marked out the dart lines and I'm going to go ahead and take out the darts for both the front and the back pieces. So take out the darts. Okay, I've taken out the darts for both the front and the back pieces. And for the lining as well. I took out the darts for the lining as well separately. And I've sewn the neckline and I've also top stitched it, as you can see, very close to make it very clean. And so now I'm going to go ahead and sew the armhole. Okay, so I've sewn the neckline, top stitched it, and I've sewn the armhole. And as you can see, I made cuts in the armhole so that when I turn it inside out, it will be looking clean. I'm going to turn it inside out and iron it, and then I'll start joining the shoulders together. Okay, so I have ironed it, as you can see, and what I'm going to do now is place the back on top of this like so, and I'm going to pass it through the back lining and turn it inside out, and I'm going to join the shoulder. So I've joined the shoulders, as you can see. So this is what I have. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is sew the sides. So I'm going to be taking this like this. I will sew it like so. Starting from the lining, I'm going to sew from the lining to the bodice. Okay. So I've joined it. I've joined the sides, as you can see. So we'll have this looking this clean. Okay. The next what I'm going to do now is join the layers. So I sew the lining piece differently and sew the main fabric differently so that I can join the layers the same way. I'm going to start with the top layer. And so I'm going to start gathering it, and I'll gather the lace piece as the first layer on the doll face. Okay. Next, I'm going to gather this tool, this cream color tool on it. And then the third layer is going to be the other doll face material. And then so I'm going to also gather this one as well. And then the next one will be to gather the lining piece on the lining piece. I'm going to gather this other white tool on the lining piece so that the lining piece is going to cover the rough part of the main fabric. And so I have gathered this one. I've gathered the first layer. That's the lace. This is it. I've gathered the lace. I'm going to go ahead and gather the tool now. And so I have also gathered the tool. Look at how clean it's looking from the back. So I've gathered the tool next. And so I have pleated the doll face on as the third layer. And like I said, I'm going to make it fuller by adding the other tool. So first I'm going to pleat this lining piece as the first layer for the inner lining. Okay. And then I'm going to pleat this other tool as the second layer for the lining. And so as you can see, I have sewn the other layers. I've sewn the lining and the tool. That's the second tool layer. Okay. This is it, and this is the lining. And this at the right side, this is the lining piece for the dress, and this is the main fabric. And the point is, look at how clean this whole thing came out. Okay, so now the point of this part, sewing it in reverse like this, so that all of this roughness will be covered with this. Okay, although you have to still go ahead and weave this. Now look at all this. So this is where we are at, and And so it's time to attach the zip, and so I'm going to sew the back together. I'm going to sew it layer by layer so that we can attach the zip. Okay, so this is the zipper I'm going to be using for this beautiful dress. Okay, so I am going to measure it to the length where I want it to stop, somewhere around here. So let me first of all go and sew the lace, and then I'll show us how we're going to sew the other layers one after the other, so that the dress will be in layers and not all together at the back. Okay, so I've sewn the first layer. This is it. I've sewn this one. Now what I'm going to do is to sew the second layer. So I'm arranging it so I can place the tool directly under the lace piece. Okay, so to sew the second layer, I'm going to sew it from here, and I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to come up here, come up 1 inch, 1 inch from where I stopped, and I'm going to make a cut. I'm going to make a cut. Okay, let me sew it first and show us. All right, so I have sewn it from here to here, so I'm taking out the pins, and this is it, it's attached. So from where I stopped, this is where my sewing stopped. I'm going to come up by 1 inch here, and I'm going to make a cut very close to the seam line. Can you see what I'm doing? And then I'm going to open up, take out the tool, set the tool out, and I'm going to trim half of the sewing allowance for the lace. Okay, now that I've trimmed that, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold this in like this, and I'm going to start sewing only the tool. I'm going to sew only the tool from here on till I get to the down part. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat the same process for the third layer, and I'll do the same thing for the lining layers. Now this whole process, I explained it in another sewing tutorial of a child's dress as well, so you can also check out that video and see some of the things you may think you have missed in this one. Okay, so I'm going to leave the link to that one in the description box below, so you can check out that link and see if there's any process you think you have missed in this one or that you didn't get. You can watch that video to recap or to see all the processes again and see a different approach to it. Okay, so and you understand how you can make dresses in layer and then still have the layers stand on their own. All right, I have sewn it, and let me show us what this looks from the front. So this is the back. You see, this is the first layer, this is the second layer, and this is the third layer, and they all have joinings where they meet, but individually they can stand on their own. Okay, this is the purpose of this method I just showed you. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach the zipper. I'm going to go ahead and sew the zipper. I'm just going to cover up the lining like this, and I will sew the zipper to it. I'm done attaching the zipper. I'm going to turn it inside out now and iron it, and I'll start embellishment. Also, don't forget to weave all the rough parts inside the dress. Weave it so that it doesn't shred and it will look neater. Okay guys, so this dress is not as full as I want it to be, and I would like to give it some more fullness. And to do that, I had to cut out half of the length. I cut half of the lace, that's the first layer. And what I'm going to do now is open it up. I'm going to cut it open in between, maybe from here. I'm going to cut it to this place, and I'm going to add a godette. Now a godette is a piece of cloth you can add to a fabric or a dress you've made to extend your dress, the fullness of a dress, or to create a kind of design to it. And so I'm going to be adding godets at strategic points. I'm just going to cut it at different points and add godets. Okay, so I'm going to show us how I'm going to do that, but first I'm going to show us how you can create your own appliques. So these are appliques I am cutting out, I am creating, that I'm going to use to design this dress. Okay, I'm going to use these appliques to design the dress. And so to create this applique, this is what I'm doing. This is an organza fabric. And so when you lay down your organza fabric, you're going to use your hemming gum to layer it down. Okay, place it all around, just fill it around, and then place your lace piece or whatever fabric you want to cut out the design on it. Place it on it and use your steam iron to iron it, and then use a hot soldering iron. This is a soldering iron, so you're going to use a hot soldering iron to trace out all the designs that you want to cut out. Okay, I'm going to do this off camera, that's why I'm just showing us how you can do it. So that's how I got those ones, and I'm going to go ahead and get as many as I can that I'm going to use to design this dress to make it come out looking finer. Okay, so this is the fabric I cut out from the lower parts that I'm going to be using to create the goddess. If I cut it this way, I'm going to be getting 4 goddess from this. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be folding it like this. I'm folding it into a triangle. Okay, and I'm going to cut through here so I can have 4 goddess I'm going to add to this to extend the width of the dress. Okay, so now that I have this is the goddess I need. So I'm going to be attaching it from here, and when I sew it, so this is each layer of the goddess. So this is going to add fullness to the dress, as you can see. So let me show us how we can attach this. But I'm going to be cutting it open at 4 different places since we have 4 goddess. Okay, so I'm going to use the dart lines as my goddess line. Okay, so from here, there's a dart here. I'm just going to fold it this way and I'll cut it open. And I'm not cutting it to the end, so I'm going to stop here. I'm stopping at least 2 inches away from the beginning, and I'm going to go ahead and sew it. So this is it. I'm going to sew it like so. I'm going to go here and sew this first layer first, and then I'm going to turn it and attach the other one. So I've sewn this first side. I'm going to turn it the other way now. I'm going to turn it the other way and here, turn this in, and I will sew it like this. I will place it like so, and I'm going to go ahead and sew the other layer. Okay, now see the effect of the goddess here and here, and we have added a whole of this to the dress. So now I'm going to go ahead and trim out this. Okay, trim out the excess. So this is it. Now I'm going to add 3 more of this goddess on this dress, following the dark lines, and this will add more fullness to the dress. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat it on all the other dark lines so that the dress will have the fullness I want, and then we can now attach the applique. Next, we're going to be attaching the appliques. Place your applique, it just depends on whatever design you have in mind or just what you want. Okay, you can place it and you can use your glue gun to glue it or use your thread to tack it to the dress, but either way, anyone you use, it will come out really good. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a glue gun and attach all of this to the dress to make it pop. Because it's a child's dress, it has to have some color in it and it will pop. Okay, so I want to now glue the appliques to it, and I've been hitting my glue gun for a couple of minutes. So you plug it in and let it heat up so that it starts to melt the gum, so you can use it. So as you can see, the gum is melting out, so it's ready to use. Okay, so in fact I pinned this too because I want to try and let the back look a bit similar, so that the design I'm putting at the back will be, it will sync, it will be something, it will look like something that is well thought out. Okay, so I've pinned it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply the glue. You can don't be too generous so it doesn't stain the dress in case you want to change the position. Okay, so you apply the glue and you press it down. Just continue like this until you are rounding up everything. Just continue until you get to the end. So I like to apply the glue very close to the end so that it will not be standing up on its own. When you try yours, please do well to leave a review. Let me know how it went, if you got it. If you have questions, drop it in the comment section. I will come to the questions. I will answer you. And you can also share pictures of your own work when you try them, or when you try it, you can share pictures on our Facebook group at Creative Tailoring and Styling. Okay, so this one is sticked on. Okay, Now, if you want to, you can also heat this up a bit with your steam iron. That's because the glue will melt and it will stick even better. Okay, so I'm going to continue like this because to save time, I'm going to go ahead and just spread out my glue. So I got out so many of these appliques from the lace piece. Okay, so now if I wanted to go and buy this lace piece, this appliques, I know how much I will spend buying them. But if you have a lace that matches what you want to work on, you can create your own appliques and save your money. So we've come to the end of the class, and this is the final work. As you can see, this is the back, and they all came out really nice. Okay, you can spread it as you want. Don't forget to like and share this video. Also subscribe if you have not subscribed. See you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.